there they were. My mum and dad and Uncle Botterbright in Scotland with loads of the Flying Scotsmen inside a dark face involved with a terrifying creature called the Bullshit. Uncle Botterbright said, "Watch out, everybody," and he took this frying pan out of his hat and he starts swinging the pan to and fro and it bangs against the creature really loud right on the nose. It was then the creature started roaring really hard and fast. Then Uncle Apple ran and jumped on the Bullshit. It's no good, he can't. The Bullshit makes its teeth cut into the flesh of Uncle Apple. Oh no! And then he just fell over and died. Uncle Botterbright yelled out, "No!" And then he ran and began to fly. So my mum and dad said, "Nice." And so the other Flying Scotsmen joined in and flew into the air. And all the Flying Scotsmen surrounded the creature. They start up a chant. Go to, "Oh, you shite stay." Go to, "Oh, you your big face." It was then the Bullshit began to shoot too, but the Flying Scotsmen began to shoot something on their own, and it was Scottish magic. Blimey. Suddenly, the Bullshit jumped at the Scotsman, but Uncle Botterbright then shot a huge ball of light at the creature. Slam! Straight away, there was a great big hole in its face, and it blew up into the brown mush. Kaboom! Dad said, "Right, that was brilliant. I wish I could do magic stuff as well." Mum said, "This other ring, where is it?" It was then Uncle Tomato noticed something, and there it was, the shitty ring of Scotland. Dad's hand darted. Yeah, got it. Fantastic. Uncle Tomato said, "Why don't we go to Jamaica for the next ring? We could help make your car fly. It would be great." Yeah, Mum said, "It would be great." Dad said, "Yes, here we go." And off they go to Jamaica. When they got there, Uncle Jam Roly-Poly and Uncle Vanilla found out that there was this reggae concert. Nice. Not long after, they all turned up to see the Yes, look at that. Uncle Jam Roly-Poly said, "Yeah, I like it," and he's going. Suddenly, my dad, what does he do? He jumps on stage and he goes, "Watch out, everybody, I've got a bomb. But, and this is a big but, if you tell me where to find the shitty ring of Jamaica, you will survive." Do you understand? It was then there was a man who turned up and said, "Is that you, Harold?" My dad frowned and then started looking to see who it was. Suddenly the man came running onto the stage, and it was the coolest teacher of my old school, Mr. Coolio. And he said, "What's up, my bro? Is Michael doing all right?" And he fist bumped my dad. Dad said, "Hey, Mr. Coolio, cool to see you here." It was then Mr. Coolio said, "If you help me, I shall give you the shitty ring of Jamaica." You understand? So Dad said, "Okay, but do you have it?" And he said, "I had it, but a terrifying gorilla took it from me, so let's go hunting." "Yes," says my dad cheerily, with a shotgun in his hand. Coolio. A few days later, there they were. My mum and dad and Mr. Coolio with the Flying Scotsman in the Jamaican jungle. And there it was, the gorilla. It was huge. Mr. Coolio said, "Right, guys, it's time to rumble." And he took this gold blade and said to my mum and dad, "Right, you two, stay with me. These other doers know what to do. I shall give the sign when it's time. Do you understand?" My mum and dad said, "Got it." And there they were, watching the Flying Scotsmen surrounding the great big gorilla. It was then Uncle Botterbright yelled out, "Catch that banana, fucker!" And all the Flying Scotsmen began to shoot magic. The gorilla was stuck. Mr. Coolio yelled, "Yes, here we go!" And he jumped out of the bush with my mum and dad So what happened? My mum and dad shot the gorilla like that. And it went like this. Eat this. Mr. Coolio ran and jumped on the creature and began to cut into the skull. Dig in. There was an awful yelling and crying, and then he peeled off the gorilla's face and said, "Take that, Mr. A." And he took this brown ring and gave it to my mum and dad. Wonderful. Suddenly, Mr. A turns to us, starts laughing, and he goes, "Fuck you, you will regret this." And then he ran and disappeared in a bright green flash. "Oh no," Mr. Coolio said. "Don't worry about it. I'll finish it one day." Not long after, they left their jungle giraffes and said goodbye, and he gave the bag of good stuff to my mum and dad. I think you know what I mean. And then they went home. There they were, in an abandoned place. My dad took the Plum gadget out of his pocket and said to my mum and the Flying Scotsman, "Okay, it's time." He pressed the button, then, in a flash, Michael Plumson appeared. And he said, "You've got the rings, I can tell." Good! It was then my dad gave the rings, and then he asked, "What now?" Then Michael Plumson said, "For now, stay low. When the time comes, you will know, but it's time to blow up the Harrybo babies." Then Michael Plumson pressed the rings against each other. Then, suddenly, a terrible noise from far away. Michael Plumson was delighted, and the rings squashed together into one special ring called the Plumson ring. Then Michael Plumson took this red ring out of his pocket and gave it to my dad, and a blue one to my mum, and he said, "These shall be useful to you one day. Wolves will come in, we will meet again." And then he disappeared in a flash. Not long after, a few days later, my mum and dad went to this cafe and had nothing to kill her. Dad said, "I've got to do it." You can't now," said my mum. "Think of what Michael Plumson said." "All right," said my dad. And then my mum said, "Great. Anyway, what do you want then?" And then he looked to see what there was and said, "I'll have a strawberry pizza." And Mum said, "You are maniacal." And then my dad said, "That is why we make such a nice team." Kaboom, 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 kaboom. CaptainPlums.